Welcome grade 7. This is Ma'am Karen Jacinto, your TLE teacher for another lesson in dressmaking. We're going to discuss today obtaining body measurements. Before we begin, let's have a quick game. We're going to guess the name of the picture shown based on the given clues. You can write your answer on your notebook. Let's begin. The clues are blouses, skirts, gowns. What is that? Correct! It's ladies' apparel. Next. Clues are polo shirt, trousers, barong Tagalog. What is the answer? That's right, men's apparel. Third. Tool, flexible, measuring. I think you know the answer to this. It is tape measure. Now on to the lesson. Let us first have the content standards. Now the learners must demonstrate an understanding in carrying out measurements in dressmaking and tailoring. And the performance standards, the learners independently carries out measurements and calculations based on job requirements. The most essential learning competencies are: take accurate body measurements, read and record required measurements, apply the systems of measurement, perform simple calculations based on the job requirement, demonstrate accurate reading measurement, assess the appropriateness of design based on the client's features, read specifications, apply the principles of design and color harmonies. I have a few questions for you. Why is it important to take accurate body measurements in dressmaking? And do you think there's a difference in obtaining the body measurement between male and female? And in what areas can measurements be used? Nowadays, it is very important for learners like yourselves know how to take accurate measurements because it will be useful in other areas as well, such as in science, physics, engineering, and mathematics. So it is important for you learners to know how to take accurate measurements. When you are taking measurements, it is important that you use the proper tool. And this is the most essential tool that you will be using in taking body measurements. Now, the parts of the body can be measured in horizontal measurement. It is taken from left of the figure to the right, like so. Next, vertical measurement. It is taken from the top of the figure to its base, like this. Next is circumferential measurement. It is taken around the body part, like this. Using a tape measure, we are going to measure the body parts on our lesson today. We have right side here as our model. First body part, neck. Loosely measure around the circumference at the base of the neck. Here. Like so. Next is the bust. Lift the arms to the side. Like this. Measure around your body, crossing over the fullest part of the bust. The tape measure must run directly over the nipples and across the shoulder blades on the back. Like this. This is the measurement for bust. Next is bust to bust. Measure from one nipple to the other. Like this. Next is upper bust. Measure around the torso directly above the bust line. Armhole to armhole, plus or minus 8 centimeters down from the neck. So from here, this is the measurement for upper bust. Next, lower bust. Measure around the torso directly under the bust line. So here's the lower bust. Next, waist. Measure around the waist at the narrowest natural waist point, allowing 2 fingers between your waist to the tape measure. So like this, you will insert your 2 fingers and make sure that the tape measure is moving. Next is hips. Measure around the fullest part of your hips. As a guide, this is often 20 centimeters below the natural waistline. Stand with your knees together. This is the measurement for hips. Next is shoulder to bust. Measure from tip of the shoulder to the center of the bust. Like this. So this is shoulder to bust. Next body part is front shoulder to waist. Measure from the tip of the shoulder over the bust to the natural waistline. Like this. Next is shoulder to shoulder. Measure across the back of neck from the socket of one shoulder to the socket of the other shoulder. Like this. Next, shoulder to neck. Measure from the base of the neck along the top shoulder to the shoulder socket. Like this. Like this. Next is down center back. Measure from the nape of the neck to the natural waist. So from here until here. Back shoulder to waist. Measure from the tip of the shoulder to the natural waistline. Like this. Next, across back. Measure from armhole, across back to the armhole. Positioning tape measure plus or minus 8 centimeters down from the nape of the neck. So here. Next is full back. Measure from side seam under armpits to the side seam across back. Positioning tape measure plus or minus 4 centimeters under the armpit. So it is located here. Then measure from side seam to side seam. That is the full back. Next is sleeve hole. Measure around the shoulder under the armpit. Like this. Bicep. Measure around the fullest part of the upper arm. Here. So this is the bicep. Next is elbow. Do a fairly loose measurement around the bent elbow. So make sure that the elbow is bent and position your tape measure here and do a loose measurement. Next is overarm. Measure from outer shoulder socket on the outside of the arm with the bent arm up to the wrist. So here and then up to here. This is done when you are measuring for a long sleeve blouse or shirt. Next is side seam. The side seam is measured from under the armpit down to the natural waistline. So like this. Underarm. Measure from outer shoulder socket on outside of the arm on the bent arm to the wrist. So from here, under the arm and then up to the wrist. And lastly, the upper arm. Measure from the outer shoulder socket on outside of the arm to the crook of the elbow. So here is the upper arm. Was that easy? Do you think you can measure the body part of another person? Now to find that out, let's have your activity and performance task. For your activity, on your notebook, you will be listing down 5 body parts, each for horizontal, vertical, and circumferential. And if you know that you're going to be late in submitting or there is a problem that might make you miss a deadline, inform me of the reason. and missed outputs are still accepted. Also, make it a habit to back read on the posts in the group chats. Most important of all, keep safe.